At last, my favorite deck, Zombie Punk, has been brought back to life. Live, my creation, live!
We should consider integrating Kashtira into our combo strings.
No! What have I done?
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. I'm finally all the way back. Subathon, NAWCQ, and the 3 days I spent locked in Danny's basement, forced to react to Duel Live, and I'm happy to return to my main hobby, changing one or two cards in a video I've already done. On that note, now that we've got Ghost Fusion, here's Zombies. So here's the list, and Christ, look at those one-ofs. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Zero Damage Gaming. Still using that old sneak peek playmat? Carrying around your cards in one of these bad boys? Embarrassed by that cybernetic magician playmat that you've been using for 2 years with weird stains on it? Well, I've got great news. Zero Damage Gaming is an online storefront specializing in playmats, mousepads, and backpacks featuring Yu-Gi-Oh! And Vanguard-inspired designs. Each playmat has a cloth top and a rubber bottom and is machine washable, though I pray to God that isn't a selling point. Recently, I've been a huge fan of their Love playmat. This mat features our second favorite eccentric scientist, after the magical one, of course, and it'll sure run you a lot cheaper than a Vanquish Soul Core. Click the link in the description to check out their huge range of playmats and deck boxes, but I know which one you're really here for. With that, let's get into Ghost Fusion. Ghost Fusion is a new take on Shadow Fusion. No longer content with fusion spells foolishing, we're now looking at another location to put material, the Banished Zone. This card allows you to, provided your life points is lower than your opponent's, use a zombie monster from the hand or deck or graveyard as material for a fusion summon and place it directly into the Banished Zone. This plays perfectly with Qiangxi the Spirit Owl, who, when banished, can be special summoned and then sends a zombie as an ignition effect. That just leaves the little problem of getting your life points below your opponent's, an issue swiftly remedied by the Punk monsters. Historically, Zombie Punk was used to set up Chaos Ruler into Baron, but we ain't got that card anymore. So we'll have to think of something else to do with our combo enablers. In place of that 10-star setup, we're making Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord, which allows you to target a zombie monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Of course, while Zombie World's on the field, that's basically just Call of the Haunted, and with Beatrice weaved into combos as well, it's just a free special of any monster in the game. As a result, we're doing what Brandon's been beating heads with for months, and turning off special summoning, here by way of Kashtira. Speaking of zombies, when is this game gonna die already? So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, the Punks. 3 copies of Ogre Dance, 3 copies of Foxy Toon, 3 copies of Xiamen, 1 apiece of Deer Note and Shirakusai. Pretty standard. After that, the Zombies. 1 apiece of Doom King Baylordrock, which is both a negate and a banish separately. 1 copy of Ghost Sleeper the Underworld Princess, a card you probably haven't seen before. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Ghost Fusion from your deck to your hand, and if it's in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it and discard a card to target a banished level 4 or higher zombie and add it to your hand. After that is Qiangxi the Spirit Owl. During your main phase, you can send a zombie monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if this card is banished, you can banish a zombie in your graveyard to special discard, but put it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. Of course, we are playing 1 copy of Necroworld Banshee. We no longer have to hit this, luckily, off of something like a Chaos Ruler. It can be sent as part of our mainline combo. And then we are playing Ringo Worm, the Dragon Guarding the 100 Apples. If a face-up non-effect monster is on the field, you can special this card from your hand. During your main phase, if you synchro summon this turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to summon a 100 Apples token, Worm, Light, level 2, and the player who summoned it can treat it as a tuner for a synchro summon. Of course, it will be treated as a zombie, because by the time it gets to our side of the field, we're going to have the world up. We're playing 1 Psychic Tracker, which is part of the mainline combo, and now pretty standard to search off of Jam Dragon Drive. 1 copy of Arc Lord Kashtira, 3 copies of Kashtira Fenrir, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, and 3 Effect Veiler. For spells, we're on 3 Pot of Prosperity, 3 Emergency Teleport, 1 apiece of Zombie World Ghost Fusion, which can fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using only zombie monsters you control as material. Here, it's almost always going to be Garura. And then if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can banish 1 zombie monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard as material, 1 Called by the Grave, and 1 Triple Tactics. For traps, we are on 3 Infip. In the extra, we've got Rising Carp, we've got Garua, we've got Psychic End to Punisher, a standard card in any deck that's playing the Punks. We've got a Punk Amazing Dragon, Cheng-Ying, we've got Baron de Fleur, we've got Red Eye's Zombie Dragon Lord, which during your opponent's turn allows you to target a zombie monster in your graveyard except itself and special summon it, and if it's in your graveyard you can banish a zombie monster you control to special summon this card. Jam Dragon Drive, Immortal Dragon, a 6-star synchro which can be used using the monster that you reborn off of Deer Note, plus a copy of Psychic Tracker in hand. 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner monster, 6 stars during your main phase. You can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and this level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster in this card, and when your zombie monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. After that, we've got a Fortune Tune and a Downward for a Zeus setup, a Beatrice as part of a mainline combo, an IP Masquerena and Nightmare Unicorn, just good to get guys off field sometimes. In the side, we've got 3 Ghost Bell, 3 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Twin Twisters, 3 Evenly Matched, and 3 Rivalry of Warlords. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Gold Pride Punk, and we've drawn okay. Xiamen plus 3 hand traps plus Called by the Grave. Don't mind if I do. Let's begin with Xiamen. We're going to add from deck to hand a copy of Foxy Tune. Thank goodness they don't have Ash Blossom. We'll go Foxy Tune here, pitching the Effect Veiler. I want to retain the Called by the Grave. We're going to go for a copy of Deer Note and a copy of Dragon Drive. Dragon Drive is going to grab a Psychic Tracker from deck to hand and we'll reborn that 3 so we can summon it back out. Down comes the 3s and out comes Immortal Dragon. We're going to send a copy of Ghost Sleeper to the graveyard that grabs a Ghost Fusion. We'll fire that off, banishing a Qiangxi the Spirit Owl for a copy of Garua, and the Qiangxi will summon itself, activating its effect to send from deck to graveyard a copy of Necro World. Next, we're going to go for Beatrice, trigger the effect of the Necro World to get a Zombie World into rotation, and Beatrice not only to draw a card, but also to send a Ringo Worm so we get a token to our side of the field that can be treated as a tuner for the Synchro Summon of Baron. We're going to set 2 and pass back to our opponent who draws for turn. In standby, we're going to fire off this copy of Beatrice. They are going to fire the Ripped Ash Blossom off the top, and though Called Buying it hurts the Ash Blossom in our hand, we got to get this Doom King Baylor Drock onto the field. In standby, they're going to go for this copy of Emergency Teleport, but in main, they'll have to activate the Wagon, and we can negate it with the Baylor Drock. I want to keep that field spell out of their hand. They're going to normal summon this copy of Xiamen, easiest infip of my life, and then afterwards going to draw a card of the Wagon. No big deal. Thank goodness it's just another one of the punks. They're going to go for Foxy Tune here. We will Baron de Fleur to keep them off of their powerful Synchro monsters. They're going to overlay for a Chariot Carry, use its effect to grab a copy of Better Luck Next Time, and add a Roller Baller to hand. They're going to go Captain Carry afterwards, and thank goodness we have kept this activation of Baylor Drock around specifically for the activation of Roller Baller. It has to be part of the fusion, so by banishing it, we can prevent it from resolving as intended. Our opponent's going to go to end phase and trigger the effect of the Chariot Carry. That's going to draw them a card. They'll pass back to us. Should just be a hop, skip, and a jump to lethal here. We'll go for Baron de Fleur on one of the back row. It's Dangerous Godboot. They're going to negate the effect of the Baylor Drock. We'll fire off an Ogre Dance for a monster, then proceed to combat. We'll get over everything. I'm pretty sure this is lethal. And I did not count correctly. Okay, putting Gold Pride Punk at 100 is pretty much the end of the game. They're going to go for the effect of this Leon in hand, and unfortunately for them, when they go for the effect on the field, we can use Baylor Drock to negate it because it is a zombie. Afterwards, they're going to activate the effect of the Ogre Dance. That's going to grab them a Xiamen. They're going to normal the Xiamen and go into another Chariot Carry, activating its effect, and grabbing a copy of the Crowd Goes Wild. They'll set 1 and concede. Our second match is up against Dragonlink, and this game showcases just how adept the Punk engine is at chewing through points of interaction. Our opponent's going first, and they have opened a pretty decent one. They're going to begin with a copy of Recharger for a Striker Dragon. They're going to trigger the effect of the Striker Dragon for Boot Sector launch, then activate Striker Dragon to get that Recharger back in rotation, then banish it for a copy of Wyver Burster. Down comes Boot Sector launch. They're going to activate the effect to summon the Rocket Recharger and go into a Romulus. They're going to trigger the effect of the Romulus and the White Dragon Wyver Burster in sequence in order to add from deck to hand a Black Dragon Collapse Serpent and a Dragon Ravine. They're going to go ahead and activate the effect of the Dragon Ravine, pitching this copy of Nibiru to send a copy of Sarnir to the graveyard, which will then send a Lubellion. From here, they're going to go into Hieratic Seal and activate Quick Launch for a Tracer. Tracer's effect, which will be met with an Effect Veiler. After Point of Resolution, they're going to go for the effect of the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon by banishing the Rocket Tracer for a Recharger, then Lubellion, triggering its effect to set a copy of Branded Regained. They're going to go into Pisty and Triple Burst in order to bring back this copy of Rocket Tracer, and there it is, Borland Pass. That's rough, but not the end of the world. Fenrir is a pretty good top deck. We'll go for Fenrir here. They're going to go for Regain to bring back the Sarnir. We're going to E-Telly for a copy of Xiamen. We'll activate the effect of the Xiamen. They let this go. That's going to grab us from deck to hand a Foxy Tune. We'll go for the Foxy Tune and pitch this copy of Baylor Drock to make a Dragon Drive. We'll go for the Jam and trigger the effect of the Deer Note in graveyard. They will negate the Jam Dragon Drive, which will prevent us access to the zombie half of our deck, but we can still make a lot happen here. At Resolution, we're going to go Fenrir to force out the activation of the Tracer. They go for a Caliber instead. They're going to go the effect of Sarnir here, which allows us to go into Amazing Dragon, and also trigger the effect of the Amazing Dragon in order to bring back the Jam Dragon Drive. We're going to triple tack in order to grab this copy of Borland, proceed to the battle phase, attack all of our opponent's monsters, and direct with both Fenrir and this copy of Jam Dragon Drive and the Amazing Dragon for lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing, well, the worst possible thing they could be playing. We need to use the graveyard, and they aim to make a Rise Heart. Thankfully, we've opened pretty well, and we're going first. We're going to begin with a copy of Fenrir, grabbing a Fenrir to hand, followed by an Emergency Teleport. This hand's a little weird. We have both the Sleeper and the Qiangxi the Spirit Owl in grip, but that still should be fine. We can use No-Punk Foxy Tune in order to send this copy of Sleeper, then we'll trigger the effect of the Sleeper, and because we didn't have to use a Foolish Burial effect to send the Sleeper, we can now use it for something else. We'll go through the line that we used in Game 1, getting the tracker to our side of the field to make an Immortal Dragon, and using the Immortal Dragon here to send a copy of Necroworld Banshee so that Beatrice won't have to. Afterwards, we're going to go for a Garua, unfortunately using the Changshi, the Spirit Owl in our hand, but no big deal. We're going to recoup the losses. We're going to go for the Necroworld Banshee here. Then we'll go for the effect of the Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, in order to send a Ringo Worm and draw a card off the Garua. We'll activate Ringo Worm in order to get a token to our side of the field and make Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. We'll pass back to our opponent, and in draw phase, we're going to send a Christia. In standby, we're going to bring back the Balerdrock and then trigger the effect of the Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord to bring back the Christia. Good luck to our opponent. They actually don't need good luck because, as you can see, they have opened Double Book of Moon. Okay, well, the Unicorn is going to go crazy here. We're going to go Fenrir to banish the Unicorn. They're going to go Prosperity to find off the top. I wish I could play with opponent's hand on. I would just have ashed that. Instead, they're going to go Triple Tactics Talents. They're going to take a card out of our hand, and unfortunately, they take the Ash Blossom. That ensures that their card is going to resolve. They will go Fenrir in order to grab a copy of Rise Heart. They'll activate the effect of the Rise Heart, and the effect of the Rise Heart on field, banishing a Unicorn to banish 3 off the top of our deck. They're going to go Mountain Smasher. This can send me 2 activation Zeus. They're going to use one of those activations now, eating our entire board, and then firing off Birth and using its effect in order to summon Unicorn. They will go for the Kashtira Theosis in order to grab a Fenrir from deck and pass turn. This is devastating for sure. The Christie on the top is also really bad, but of course was always going to happen. We'll try and do what we can using Fenrir to clear the Fenrir here. They can take one of our cards with Unicorn, but no big deal. They do get to Zeus as we attack into the Unicorn, but I don't think there's any other way to play it. We go for the effect of our copy of Xiamen here and end on a copy of Changying, but this looks like all she wrote. They're going to go Birth to bring back this Fenrir effect in order to grab a copy of Rise Heart, normal summon the Scare Cash, Big Eye, and let's scoop them up. Kind of feels like we were supposed to win that one, and then we didn't. But that's the Kashtira experience. We're going first for Game 2, and this hand looks incredibly good. We're going to begin with a copy of Pot of Prosperity, which our opponent is going to Ash Blossom post-board. That probably seems correct. We could theoretically go for the same line we did last time with the Christia setup, but with the Rivalry of Warlords in hand, I think I just want to lock my opponent under it as simply as possible. What's more, post-board, Baron just feels so much better knowing there's so many blowouts in the Kashtira deck when they think they are going second. As a result, we're going to set up that. We're going to go for Immortal Dragon here in order to send a copy of Ghost Sleeper in order to grab the Fusion in order to banish a copy of Changshi the Spirit Owl, and we'll make a Garua. It's still a 6, even if it's not going to draw us a card because of the Prosby at the start of the turn. We'll go Necroworld Banshee for a Zombie World. We'll go Beatrice in order to send from deck to graveyard a Ringo Worm to get a token, and here we're just going to go for the Baron so we can contest our opponents out for our Rivalry. They're going to draw for turn. We're going to go for the Beatrice, sending this copy of Balerdrock, then triggering the Balerdrock so we can get it to our side of the field. They're going to go Pot of Prosperity, and we'll let it resolve here. They find off the top, not too much, a lot of starters. They're going to go for this copy of Fenrir. They'll go for the Theosis. We'll flip up the Rivalry, and thankfully that will cause it to blank. They'll go Fenrir here, and then afterwards they'll go to the battle phase, trying to get rid of the Rivalry of Warlords, which we can contest with the Baron de Fleur, and we will do so. In main phase 2, they will special summon a Fenrir, and this should be all she wrote. In standby phase, we're going to go for the Baron de Fleur and the effect of the Doom King Balerdrock to banish our opponent's copy of Fenrir, so we can switch everyone to attack position and even win through the in-hand copy of Scare Cash. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and, well, we're going to have to face down the guy. Our opponent's going first. They're going to begin with a copy of, you guessed it, Kashtira Unicorn. Unicorn is going to grab from deck to hand a copy of Theosis. They're going to fire off the Theosis, targeting the Unicorn and grabbing a Rise Heart from deck. Next, they're going to activate Birth and normal summon this copy of Fenrir, activate Fenrir's effect in order to grab from deck to hand a Scare Cash, go into a Shangri-Ira Rise Heart effect in order to banish the Big Bang, cycle the effect of the Shangri-Ira and the Big Bang in sequence, get themselves a copy of Unicorn back to their side of the field, then overlay for a Shangri-Ira and a 3-mana Rise Heart, setting a copy of Solemn Judgment. Okay, let's see what we can do here. In standby, they're going to go ahead and grab a copy of Fenrir. We're going to begin with a copy of Pot of Prosperity. This one sucks, because not only are we going to have to find something crazy, they're going to be able to trigger the effect of the Shangri-Ira at point of resolution. The Imperm's nice. I mean, it's good. They're going to go for the Rise Heart and the Shangri-Ira in sequence here, getting another one of our zones. We'll go for the Imperm afterwards. They're going to chain the effect of the Rise Heart so they can take another zone, and also trigger the effect of the now banished copy of Big Bang, targeting the Rise Heart so they can grab themselves a copy of Unicorn. We have to be really careful about what we do here, because we're about to be down to one zone. We'll go to battle phase and attack into the Fenrir with our Fenrir, going for Fenrir in main phase 2. We'll go for E-Telly here for a Xiamen, activate the effect of the Xiamen, and grab from deck to hand a Foxy Tune. We'll make a Baron, and they will Judgment. Sheesh. Okay. We'll go Foxy Tune here. We'll get a copy of Sharakusai. They're going to go, for the effect of Unicorn, which will completely nullify this. All right, we'll scoop them up. So we're back with the deck, and sometimes I wish I was playing with the opponent's hand off. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. Zombie World is a nice floodgate that can ruin the day of many decks. Having it be a part of your end board alongside Baron and Christia is, very funny. 2. Easy access to Psychic and Punisher alongside an explosive arsenal of Punk cards means you get to OTK very frequently. And 3. Zeoman and any card in hand being full combo means you can play a plethora of non-engine to back up your setup. And the cons. 1. A well-timed hand trap can be devastating. This is a weak and extremely linear combo. 2. Shifter. Shifter is devastating to the deck, as both Zombie and Punk heavily rely on the pieces hitting the graveyard. And 3. Is this really what you want to do? Like, you can do so much in this card game, and you want a Kashtira lock? Have you tried Edison? All in all, this is a cute way to bring back a popular rogue deck from an older format, but I sure hope that people like to leave zombies in the graveyard. Thanks so much for watching. A huge shouts out to all of my patrons, but specifically Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Ben Mizera, Brett Henry, Bizin Queen, Chaotic Meatball, Kristen Malone, Da Bears, Darkmaster Zork, Derp and Dragon, DJ Elephant, Executive Slifer, Gabe the Green, John Piet, Jordan Kuntz, King Magic Ruler, Knight Mary, Legal Rights, Lockstone, Luis Hernandez, Materiality, Matthew M. DeRezzo, MBT Play Madolce, Melfi Stan, Mike Carlotti, NH6574, Puffins of Doom, Rose Lapine, Solar Flare, The Hollow King, Tootsie, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Vincent Storm, Who's Nick, Wonder Waffle, Yuki, and Yor. I couldn't have done it without you.